I definitely didn't start the war.
Did you start the revolution?
I tried, but you know.
Hi, welcome back to my Mehuni. Today's guest is a stand-up comedian, actor, activist, and TV and podcast personality. You've seen him in films like American Typecast and Jimmy Westwood. You can see him now in the film Angels Fallen, Warriors of Peace alongside Cuba Gooding Jr. and Denise Richards. You've seen him as a daily contributor on numerous talk shows. He participated in Montreal's famed Just for Laughs Comedy Festival, Netflix's A Joke, and he's hosted the longest-running Middle Eastern show at The Laugh Factory. He's one of one, and like Prince or Cher needs only one name. It's Tehran.
It's Tehran.
Hey,
I love how you
thanks for
said
being here.
you've seen him in the movies, and I feel like no one's seen those movies.
Well,
like,
I have to say something about that.
Yeah.
Every one of your movies that's on IMDb, the title is like a Hafez poem. It's a soliloquy. It's like John's apple fell far from the
exactly.
tree,
That's
the first
literally-
chapter. Yeah.
Those are the only movies that I decide to join. If you don't sound like a Hafez poem, I won't do your movie.
No, you're
That's how
offer
it
only
works.
for those two.
Angels Fallen too. You know?
How was shooting that?
It was amazing. Ali Zamani actually and Zeus Zamani are the producer and director, and they have an amazing eye, and they put together fun, action, funny, dramedy, comedy movies.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate to be in this one.
Where'd you guys shoot?
We shot in sunny Los Angeles.
Oh, I love that.
But they shot a lot. They shoot a lot in like places like Romania and Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And I was hoping this was going to be one of those off country shoots.
Out of
and
country,
it wasn't.
yeah.
And it
International
wasn't.
shoot. That's okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't. But I got to shoot in Los Angeles, and it was a good ride. It
Yeah,
was
that's
fun.
easier, though.
It's like I'm in a bunch of movies that if I had shot these exact same movies in 2005, I would be I would be an A-lister for sure.
Yeah.
American Typecast, Dane Cook, Seth Green, go down the list, all in that movie. Written by Mo Abed, directed by Dane Cook. Boom, big deal.
Yeah.
2018,
It came out too
2019. Yeah, came out too late, won all these awards at South by Southwest. It was like going to be a big award, comedy award, everything. Especially my thing at the end. And then COVID hit. Like, timing is everything.
But international, you are Mr. International still, because every time I watch your Instagram stories, you're like in Dubai or Romania or
I'm in
Oman.
a random country.
Like, you are always in a random, and I noticed too, like, 'cause you posted these videos and you were like being really serious, but in the background I see all these like very interesting looking buildings, and I'm kind of like, where is he actually? Because you're very like secretive
I did that video in the Middle East. Like, I did this Middle East video while I was in war-torn Middle East at the time.
I know.
And people were like, where are you? Why does it look like, and they thought I was like in Los Angeles or in Beverly Hills or somewhere. I was like, no, this is, I'm actually in Jordan right now. I'm in Lebanon right now.
Did you go to broker a peace deal or something?
I try every single time.
Yeah, it doesn't
never work.
Yeah. I don't know what the key is going to be.
Nothing. It's definitely not going to be me. You know, it's definitely not going to be me.
Might not be the Iranian diaspora, but that's something we'll get into in a little bit. I do want to start with a really fun fact that you and I went to a preschool together, and not just any preschool, a Catholic preschool.
We went to listen.
How did you end up there?
It's not that I ended up there because you ended up there.
Was that the reason?
Of course it was the reason.
Do you know why my mom, okay, so the story is, my parents went to school for civil engineering. Didn't your dad study
Yes,
engineering?
our parents all went to college together.
Exactly.
Okay, so just to give fun facts, Nazanin and my parents, not only did they go to college together, so we were born basically together, went to school together. We went to kindergarten, not even kindergarten, preschool, kindergarten,
Persian school,
George
Mason University.
Then we went to college together, and then we came to LA together. I don't understand how this works.
I can't escape you. So no, it was really cute because my mom got her engineering degree with my dad, but she decided, she was like, there's no way I'm gonna let any American person like babysit my daughter. So she was like, I'll go teach for a while. So she became a teacher at this Catholic preschool, great education system. Fairfax County in general has like one of the top
It's not even our
system.
opinion. That's actually top 10 every year because all the senators and judges and Supreme Court justices and their kids go there. So all of a sudden, those public schools better than private schools.
Phenomenal, truly.
It is.
Because there's actually, I will say, I give it up to Fairfax County public schools all the time because there's a lot of things I learned in elementary school and middle school that when I talked about it after college, some people didn't know, like historical facts.
Exactly.
And I was like, wow, we did go to it. But anyway, so my mom was like, let's do this Catholic school system. Then our good friend Yavar Mourimi, shout out Yavar. who, by the way, when my parents came from Iran, his parents are who my parents stayed with for the first 2 months until they got their own place. So it was a very, very cool community. Your dad was a part of that, your dad and your mom. And then you came to our preschool too. And we fucking ran that place.
We were
our
the mean girls. We were the mean girls, except I was the meanest girl. You were the nicest person.
Thank you.
And you were like always letting people play. I remember there was this kid, Errol,
yeah.
and you were friends with Errol. And
Errol,
yeah,
right. And I went to middle school with him.
Exactly. There was a
Turkish.
kid. Exactly. There was a kid named Errol, and no one else would be friends with Errol. But Nazanin, who's the nicest person in the world, was friends with Errol and put him in our group.
I loved
and so
bringing all the Middle Easterners together.
And that's how it worked. And I would bully Nazanin every single day, all the way, even in college, but no one else could bully her. So I was protective of her as far as like if someone else would bully you.
Yeah.
But I would bully you.
You're like the big brother.
I was the
that
worst
I never
person.
Asked for.
I was,
I'm just kidding.
The one you definitely didn't ask for.
No, we had so much fun. I just remember it was like one of my most vivid memories from childhood is of us in preschool, me, you, and Yavar just running
the playground,
wreaking havoc. But also when it would be like nap time, we'd be like, "The hell it is!"
We could stay up.
Teacher,
We would stay up and. That is a real thing.
We would play while everyone
else had to sleep. We never napped.
Yeah, it was so fun. So I also remember.
Before you go on, I have to say, your mom is one of my favorite people on the planet.
Oh.
She's such a wonderful, beautiful soul. And for some reason, she's always sees me. Whenever Nazanin's mom sees me, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I could be at the mall reading a Bible. But for some reason, as soon as Nazanin's mom walks by, I've slipped on a banana peel and fell into 3 naked girls.
Yeah.
There's 3 naked girls and we're all doing crack. I'm doing crack off these naked girls and your mom walks by. Never done crack in my life except for when your mom is walking by and your mom just goes, Tehran. Yeah.
So there were a couple times before I moved to New York. I remember it was like right after we graduated from George Mason. And my mom would come home from the mall. This happened like multiple times. She came home, she'd be like, I saw Tehran again. He's always with a new group of girls. Is he okay? I'm like, yeah. He's being a guy.
He's being Tehran.
Yeah, it was hilarious. She was like, پسر خیلی خوبیه. ولی همیشه با یه دختر
It was so funny.
جدید میبینمش.
Yo, it was so funny. It was just, I don't know why that would happen.
It always, and you really were. You were studious at Mason. You did your work. You were always, friends with everybody. Like you were very social. You did all your work. Too social sometimes.
I was a bully at George Mason too.
I mean, especially with those girlfriends. You were a little too social when you had a girlfriend.
I know.
I was thinking about a couple of the girls that you dated at Mason. They were so wonderful and so beautiful. And
I was Tehran.
Such a dick.
I was Tehran. Yeah. It wasn't on purpose. Listen, we had this thing. There was a thing at George Mason University called the Johnson Center. And that's where everyone went. It was the social epicenter for everybody. You go there. And it's always packed. Like you couldn't move. People had such hard times. You couldn't find a table.
Couldn't get a table. That was the whole thing. Yeah.
But I had a permanent Tehran table. These 2 tables that everyone knew you couldn't sit there. And as soon as someone else went to go sit there, someone would be like, you're not allowed to sit there.
You got to buy a bottle.
It's Tehran's table. Exactly.
Like promoting it.
And we used to like play poker. We used to just, I used to get in so much trouble with that
You played hook, you played tafta, backgammon and everything.
Exactly.
But that's what I loved about Mason it was truly one of the most multicultural schools.
People
from everywhere.
A real thing. That's not even your opinion.
No,
Again,
that's really it.
At that time, it was the most diverse school in the United States. We had people from all over the world going there. And especially, we had a lot of people who were the children of big time diplomats.
Yeah.
Like at the time, the prime minister of Israel, had a child there, and or not the prime minister, the president of Israel had a child there, and so did the second in command of PLO, and we were all friends.
Everybody was
there
cool.
were like 3 bin Ladens that went to school with us.
Not everybody was cool. Let's
everybody
say that.
was cool for the most part.
Everybody was cool. But I do remember. Those really good memories. Do you remember that? Okay. I was admittedly too in college, like very much still like I have to be a good Iranian girl. I wasn't going to all the parties. And then I can't remember if you were with me, but remember there was a fraternity, Pi Kappa Alpha. It was like the cool fraternity, all the like cute guys or whatever. And Farhad, one of your
Yeah.
really good friends, was a member. Anyway, so they were throwing a
He
frat
wasn't
party.
just a member, he became the president.
President,
Like he was the
I'm not just a
president of the
member, I'm
first
the
year.
president, yeah.
He was the president.
And it was like a big deal, I guess, because it was also like, oh, Iranian American, da da da. And so I just remember that I finally relented. I was like, fine, I'll go to a fucking pike party. And it was in the middle of the woods in like McLean or Vienna or something. And so there's, you know, everyone thought like it's chill, no one's gonna get in trouble because there's not really many neighbors around. I can't remember who I was with. I can't remember if you were there, but it was like the quintessential, it looked like a horror movie from the outside. On the inside, it smelled like beer and mold.
Of course.
And there's the keg stands happening and just a bunch of shit was going on outside, like beer cans, drinks everywhere. People were making out in the corner, doing things in the bedrooms. And then I just remember I was there for not 20 minutes. Everyone's like, it's going to be safe. It's going to be safe. It's
And
fine.
the
The
cops
cops show up.
I remember that.
And we had to run.
Yes.
I got in the car. I don't remember who got in the fucking car with me, but I was
I
like the
do.
getaway driver.
I remember
Who was
what
in the
happened.
car with me?
I mean, I remember.
Okay, we got away. Is all I
Yeah,
can say,
you got away.
and I didn't even drink. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna get caught, and I didn't even do anything wrong.
I stayed, talked to the cops, got rid of them because they didn't have the rights. But that idea, there were big parties. There were big parties.
So
and
nobody
that was
got in
like your
trouble
big
that
party.
night.
We broke you. We took
We
you.
did, but I never
we
went
took you
again.
to Miami. We took you to Miami.
Miami, that's
okay,
right.
we took you to Miami. And
What was it called again? What's that weekend? The
it
EDM
was-
weekend? Winter Music Conference.
Yes,
Yeah.
we went to the Winter
Yes,
Music
That was
Conference
fun.
in Miami, and you went to one thing and then stayed in the rest of the
Did
time.
I? Oh my
yeah,
God,
you
that
stayed
sounds like
in.
me.
You were like, no, there's too
Because I
much.
don't do drugs, so I was like, I can't stay up till 10 a.m. like everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm not implying anybody that was there did drugs. I'm just saying I don't do that.
No,
So,
there
yeah.
were people who did drugs. But here's the thing. Like, for example, I've never done drugs in my life.
Yeah.
I've never drank alcohol.
Yeah.
I've never smoked anything. I've never even tried anything.
That's like part of your shtick.
That's actually part of just
Yeah.
who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Because people come up to me and be like, Tehran, remember that party?
You were so
drunk
drunk." Yeah.
and you were doing this and that. I was like, I was sober.
You're like, that's my baseline.
Yeah, I was just bored.
Yeah.
Like if people realized, people used to think I was so high all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never even drank coffee. Like,
Well, I'm
this is
glad
just
that you
how
brought
I
this
am.
up because we are going to do a hair analysis while you're here right
You
now.
should.
Just to make sure
You
you're
should.
telling
But
the
we
truth.
live in LA now where they actually drug test when you try to get on set. And if you've never done drugs, they actually cut you. Like you have to have done drugs to work in LA. Like, remember,
That's your initiation.
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
There were times where like when people had tattoos, I remember my parents, my dad, especially my father's Iranian, my mom is black, and my Iranian father would be like, tattoo nagiriya.
Yeah.
Tattoos are bad. And I've never gotten a tattoo. And then he's like, they'll never hire you. And there's like people with face
Neck- yeah,
tattoos
yeah.
and neck tattoos who are I'm the president of this bank. You're
Again,
like,
the
wait, what?
senators or Congress.
Exactly.
I remember when I got this, my mom didn't talk to me for 2 months. And that's
Yeah.
not an exaggeration. I would call the house. My dad would be like, she's still not ready to talk
Yeah,
to you.
she's
I'm like,
not.
over a tattoo.
It was a tattoo.
It's really bad in our culture.
Yeah.
But now I feel like it's whatever. at
Well,
this
the new
point.
generation of Iranians are like Amir Tatalu. They
Yeah,
are tatted
they are
up.
Tatalu.
And they're getting exactly, they're like, there's a whole progression, a movement. I guess it's a pushback. Every generation has a pushback
Yeah.
to its predecessor. you
Yeah,
know?
and that's how we actually make progress. I just want to ask about when you went to Iran a couple times when you were a child, right?
I went to Iran twice, but before the age of 8. So
Yeah. Do you remember anything from it?
I remember bits and pieces. I remember playing soccer in the street with these tin foil like metal balls.
Yeah.
I remember, for example, driving to Shamal, which is like the north of Iran. It's
Mhm.
like it's the beach. It's the beautiful part.
I get nauseous driving there. All
Exactly,
the time.
because
Yeah.
they're
A lot
driving
of
through these
roads.
windy roads. And then I'm a kid. I was like 5, and people were like, because there's like a cliff, and they're
Yeah.
like, if we drive like this, you'll die. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm 5, bro.
I know. I'm so scared.
Yeah, can we not? Like, why are we doing this to
Dude,
me?
one of the last times I was in Iran, it was actually the last time I was in Iran, 2010, with my sister and I were going up to Shomal with my cousins, right? But we were in 2 separate cars with their friends. And they were doing this thing where they were racing each other on a little tiny ass road on a
That's
2-lane.
what they do stuff like
They
that.
swerved. My life flashed before my eyes because it was the car my sister was in, and it swerved. The wheel went off the cliff, and he brought it back, and I was like, "Arr!" And then I made everyone stop in the middle of the road. I took my sister, put her in my car. I was like, you guys are all gonna drive like 30 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Nobody's gonna do that again. I was terrified.
But they do that because that's their fun there, you know? And
know.
as someone like yourself who was so active in the woman life freedom movement, which we should definitely talk about
Yeah, we will.
because
Don't you worry.
you were so active. Like, First of all, the fact that you basically gave up your right to go to Iran, and that was one of the things that you loved doing because you love that country so much.
I couldn't go back before that though. It was dicey, like because there's a show that I did called Political Animals, and I played a kidnapped Iranian American journalist that gets held for ransom, which happens all the time. After that, it was kind of like, and then I did Persia's Got Talent. And then my own family in Iran was like, you should probably not come back. And I was like, over a talent show? And then Women Like Freedom started. Everybody was like, you should definitely never try to come back. I mean, the thing is, I mean, we could go to Iran. We just might
Not be able to
come back.
leave.
Yeah.
The idea is something that Iran does is actually, when you really think about it, it's not like so many things happen to so many people.
Yeah.
It's that it happens so randomly to random people that's how they instill fear.
That's the
into
fear.
people because no one knows.
You don't know when they're
and
gonna
it's
get you.
even scarier than if you just knew and your name was on a list and they said, Nazanin Nour, you're not allowed to come back.
Well,
It's
you know,
like,
they claim that they have a database. Do you remember this last year? They were like, everybody that wants to come back, you can just put your name in a database, and it was asking for specific information, and we'll tell you. And we're like, hey, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, you think we're gonna give you our information to the Islamic Republic database to check if we can come back? Yeah. So, but I am curious to know what your experience is like generally growing up in the Iranian American community as a biracial person, specifically biracial
big
black.
yeah.
And so, because there's a lot of internalized racism in our community that doesn't get talked about a lot. Tell me about that. What was it like?
First of all, I was the first Black and Persian, okay? So anyone else, because all of a sudden everybody's Black
Yara
and Persian.
Shahidi, he's coming for you.
Yara's doing it 10 times better than I am. And I'm like, calm
really
down,
is.
Yara.
Yeah.
Beautiful and smart and went to Harvard and has the best family ever and has the cutest siblings and have 2 TV shows going on your 3rd. Calm down, Yara Shahidi. It's the thing. No, here's a real thing. Being Black and Iranian, when I was doing it, no one did it.
Yeah.
Everyone, I was Black
Nobody
and
was
Iranian.
outwardly Black and Iranian.
I was the first. No one, I started the word blursion.
Yeah,
No one said blursion. They didn't even know what a blursion was to even say it.
I agree with you on
I'm
that.
the original vampire. Everyone
are?
else is part of my coven.
Okay, we got it.
So now I'm a Black and Iranian comedian.
Yeah.
Do you know how many Black and Iranian comedians there are in the world?
I would say 0.
Wrong. There are
One.
3.
Oh, who?
There are 2 other Black and Iranian comedians
Who?
now. There's a guy named Norman Sosa out of Germany.
Okay.
And there's a guy named Joe out of Australia.
Amazing.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
You're like, they took my niche.
Exactly. Like the one thing I had,
Yeah.
it's like it's grown. And I love watching it grow because it shows the growth not only just within Iranian diaspora, but in the world diaspora, because we are beginning to mix, even if it's reluctantly, people are mixing all over the place. So there was a time where there weren't Black and white kids.
Yeah.
And now it feels like Black and white is a normal mix. But there was a time when we were growing up, that was not normal.
No, that's why I'm like, when I was around you as a child and then at Mason, I personally never saw anybody treat you badly because everyone liked you. You were fun. You were funny. But of course you heard things, that you might not. There's people that didn't know I was Iranian growing up. So they said shit around me in Farsi that I was like, excuse me, you know what I mean? Which was one of my favorite things to do, is to clap back at Iranians that are talking shit at you. But what were some of the things that you dealt with or that you heard or?
Well, I mean, first of all, in the Iranian community, as you gracefully put it, has internalized racism because there's this thing, and I talk about it often in my comedy set, which is khariji parasti, which is like loving foreigners more than they love themselves.
It does happen
and it's
a lot.
Western foreigners. It's always the British or the French. And it's this idea of whiteness that has been globalized into Iran. And so much so that Iranians love saying that they're white. And it's like,
Not
no,
I.
Exactly. We're people of color. Like that pigment in your skin protected you from the sun. It also protects you from this idea of colonization and colonial whiteness it's not good to be a part of. Like being Iranian is much more
Proud.
exactly than being British or French. Like anytime people talk about I'm like, they've had a country for 1,000 years, 2,000 years. This is 3,500 years of a continuous civilization. It's the longest continuous civilization in the world.
But I remember very distinctly, like, one of the reasons I was even put in Persian school on Saturdays, because my parents were very much adamant about, they were supposed to go back after getting their degrees. And then since the revolution and the war started and then I was born, it was like, well, we should just stay here.
Everyone
So they weren't planning on staying here. But then to them, it was very important to instill Iranian culture in me and my sister growing up. Like, you're going to learn the language. And my mom was always like, you know, they were just like, you're not American. Stop. Like, but so-and-so gets to, you're not American. You're not them. We're Iranian. So it was very much instilled in me. So I feel like as I grew up and I met people and some people in our diaspora who were very much, no, we're white, we're Aryan and all that. I was like,
or or I'm not Iranian.
I was like,
or
but you
the people
are
who were like,
Iranian.
I'm half Italian, 2/3 French. And
Yeah.
thankfully, we grew up in Washington, D.C. area,
Yeah.
which had a lot of proud Iranians
Yeah.
because it was the people who had specifically gone there for academia.
For school.
They've gone for school, and their plan was to go back. And the Iran that they painted for us, an Iran that unfortunately no longer exists, and I don't mean that politically, I mean that as a cultural entity of this proud Iran, this Iranian unity, this Iran where the people were basically in any way better than everyone else. That Iran doesn't exist anymore. That Iran of being able to just shake hands and know that that contract was going to go through, or our parents who went
see what
out
you
of
mean.
their way to work with other Iranians and stay in this Iranian community. Even us, we went to this Farsi school. We went to the Khanum Hajian school
We did.
instead of going to the Islamic school
In Maryland.
because our parents were always just like that.
Yeah, they were secular. I remember
Exactly.
that's the thing, that we had two Persian schools in the area. One was in Virginia, one was in Maryland. Maryland was the religious one where I knew a couple people that went there, and the little girls, they had to wear hijab.
Hijab, yeah.
Yeah, and so my parents were like, yeah, we're gonna go to the
We're
Virginia
not,
one.
we're, yeah, exactly. Like,
That was a religious school, and my parents were not religious.
Exactly,
and
they
were.
weren't
So it's like,
religious.
we're not going to send you to the one.
and
where
we
you have
all went to
learn.
the same school too.
We did that. I
We
know.
all went to the
Me,
same
you, and Yavar.
Farsi Persian school.
We caused you. Oh, by the way, I did a play called English in DC last year, and my old, remember Khanum Fasiyan?
Of course, I know Khanum
She
Fasiyan.
came to see the play.
She's the
And
best person
She
on the
was
planet.
so cute because I played a teacher in this, and she was like laughing. She was like, "This was really cute," because there's a character in the play called Elham, who's like the boisterous, loud one who always disrupts class. And it's
That
just
was you?
Yeah, she goes, "You were Elham, not the teacher." And I was like, "I know," but it was so nice to see her. She was like, "Yeah, you and your friends, you guys were always playing around together and causing trouble." but you
Khanum
guys-"
Fasiyan she was actually one of the most prolific people because not only does she always make us all feel included,
Yeah.
she was the patient one, took her time with us. And for a lot of reason is the reason we speak Farsi and read Farsi, because I'm not saying the entire class because they don't. I'm
Yeah.
talking about specifically you and I
Yeah.
and the few others that do so, like Nikki or anyone.
We took time
Exactly.
to do the work.
And she would take the time and sit with us and make it so that it wasn't a chore.
Yeah.
Made it so that we became proud of our heritage. And so, and Khanum Fasiyan, when you were talking about the race stuff, so there were a lot of times where, thankfully, a lot of my personality was born out of the specific need to just not care what people were saying.
Yeah.
Just to always be myself no matter what.
You are very good at that.
And that actually specifically happened at Mother Teresa. It happened when we went to the school called Big Bird. What was it called? It was called
Bluebird.
Bluebird. It was called something. It was called something Bird, right?
We went to Sesame Street.
Exactly.
So,
We went to school. We went to Bluebird,
Yeah.
which was this like. And by the way, at that time, to go to a private school was a big deal because no one went to private school.
And it was
for our
Catholic.
parents, and it was a Catholic school, and it was expensive. Our parents were paying a grip
No,
for us to
I
go.
went for free because
Your mom was the
there.
teacher,
Yeah.
but the rest of us
I
went
know,
there.
sorry.
And we all went there because your mom went there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because your mom took care of us
Yeah.
since we were kids. We
Yeah.
actually have that one picture. It's all of us around for a birthday. And
Yes,
we were like
the birthday
3.
cake.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to ping that up here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So that idea of we all went there and it was expensive. Like we're paying,
yeah.
at that
Adjusted
time.
for inflation, it was very expensive.
Adjusted for inflation,
Yeah.
no one's paying $500. People weren't even paying $500 sometimes for their rent, and we were paying that
For school.
For school.
And then speaking of school, so at Mason we both double majored and had minors, but one of our majors was the same, which was government and international politics. And then you
international
went on to
politics.
law school and stuff. So it kind of feels like this trajectory that we've had that was a little bit similar, where we went and we did this corporate thing. It was something else that we're good at, but we both decided, no, but I really want to be in entertainment. So how did you go from law to comedy?
I never actually worked a regular job. Not a single day.
Never.
But honestly, could you even see me working a regular job?
Well,
no, you know me.
If you, let me ask, if you were to practice law, what would you want to practice?
I would have, so my ego would
Mm-hmm.
have wanted to practice criminal law.
Okay.
Okay.
Defense or
Just,
prosecution?
that's the thing. I don't think that I could defend people who committed heinous crimes.
Okay.
Like, to me, this is the thing. This is my warped sense of, you embezzled money from Walmart.
Yeah.
You're basically innocent. You're not even a bad person.
I know, that's
You
a big
know,
corporation. They're not going to notice.
you robbed a bank.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
You murdered someone who owed you $50. How likely is that to happen again?
Right.
But
Well,
if you're
I
like,
don't, okay, I'm going to get you on that one. I don't really
but
agree
my
with that
thing
one,
is
but
like
yeah.
that, okay.
Yeah.
But then when you're like a murderer or a sexual assaulter or these things, I would never be able to defend that person.
I see.
And ultimately those things came into question, and I just couldn't go that way. And I wanted to do something in the international politics arena.
Yeah.
There's a person who it was very near and dear to me is Paris Apirus, and she went on to law school.
Okay.
And she's like at the UN, and she's overseas, and she's doing all these like foundations and things like that. And I wish I had that too. That's something I would have loved to do.
Do you
But
think,
then
well, so then speaking of your love for international affairs, and you've always been someone who's very outspoken about issues, not just domestically, but internationally. You've worked a lot of that into your comedy, and also like you had, the Middle Eastern night at Laugh Factory and TED on Thursdays. So how important is it for you or why is it so important for you to blend real life things and issues into your comedy?
because I think that's my purpose. Just who I am as a person. You use the word blend. I am the blend, right? I've always been a bridge
Yeah.
between two cultures, two generations, two languages, two groups of people. And I've just continued that in comedy, which is why I always told you, you need to get into comedy. You had your stint, but you should have went with it.
Yeah.
Especially now when you're looking at the comedians who are on stage now.
I know. Sometimes I look at them, I'm like, I could do that.
You not
It
only
could be
you
funnier.
would have done it better, and
I
you would
appreciate
have
you.
honestly. But when it comes to comedy, so when I was like deciding what I wanted to do with my future, not only did I want to reach people and I wanted to teach people, but I didn't want to preach. So comedy is the best way to do that. You're basically just a spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down.
Okay, Mary
You're
Poppins.
speaking comedy,
Mhm.
but it's really just life lessons. If you really think about it, good comedy makes you laugh, but great comedy makes you think.
Yeah.
And I'm on stage, hopefully making people think. They're leaving feeling good and learning something at the same time.
You also, what I've noticed is how important is it for you? I'm sure I actually don't want to assume if you do it on purpose, but a lot of the nights that I've come to see you at, or even your birthday show, you bring in a blend of people, but they're visibly, like visually, aesthetically different, right? So I remember you had like comedian Menachem Silverstein, and he wore like his kippah on stage, and then you had like Palestinian comedians, Iranian American. It's just you. Do you do it on purpose? Like, do you pick people on purpose for that reason?
It's not that I do it on purpose. It's natural, it's organic, but also I'm very aware that I'm doing this. I'm cultivating a diverse group of comedians, because not only do diverse comedians not always get the stage time, and especially at the Laugh Factory, which is basically the NBA of comedy. When you're at the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store, the Improv, or the Cellar, you're at the best comedy clubs in the world. And I fortunately get to be at the ones in LA, which are the Laugh Factory, Comedy Store, and Improv. So my lineups are not only a reflection of me, but they're also a reflection of the world that I want to live in.
Mm.
So I want to live in a world that's inclusive, where there's space and place for everyone to get on stage
Yeah.
and bring people together. Audiences are sitting there, they're enjoying their time. For Netflix is a joke. I did several shows, but one of my shows was after the October 7th conflict. I did a show in which I had Israeli and Jewish comedians and Palestinian and Muslim comedians on the same show.
Yeah.
And it was sold out. When you looked at the audience, there was tension was in the air.
Mm-hmm.
People came in, maybe not even realizing how many of the other side to them
Yeah.
at that time were going to be there. And they sat down. It was so segregated. By the end of the show, people were laughing, hugging, crying, apologizing to each other. That's really how the world is going to get better, is when we realize we're way more alike than we are different. And one of the ways you do that is comedy, because we're all laughing and relating to the person on stage, but more importantly, relating through the person on stage.
Yeah. To that end too, I was going to say, even the way that things are worded would cause problems, because, I think if it's a really nice idea that, you know, for people to understand that we do have more in common than, I mean, human wants to live and be free and not be afraid of being bombed or living under oppression or apartheid or genocided, et cetera. And if you look at the people that are actually the loudest or on the internet, or, you know, sometimes you post videos that are trying to bring people together and you get a lot of hate just because you're trying to make one side understand, hey, I mean, yes, I support you, but these things are also wrong. Hey, I support you, but also these things are wrong. And I think we have a big problem with that in our diaspora community, of course, because as an Iranian American who advocates against the Islamic Republic, I'm also not going to be in support of any of its proxies. So for us, it's like if we speak out against, you know, Hamas or Hezbollah, somebody takes that as being like, well, you're anti-Palestinian liberation. It's like, no, I'm pro-Palestinian liberation. I'm anti-Islamic Republic because it's oppressive, anti-Hamas, anyone that spreads terror.
Anti-ISIS, anti-Al-Qaeda.
Look, I'm anti what Israel and the IDF is doing too. So
Exactly.
if I'm anti anyone killing, genociding,
anti-Bill Gates, love Melinda, but Bill? No, but that's the
Bill,
thing.
yeah.
It's very hard for people because they're so used to boxes, and boxes are meant for things and not people. They see things in life as either or, as if it's a zero-sum game. The only way I win is if you lose, and that's not real life.
Yeah.
The truest life is that we all can win together. This world is big enough for all of us. It really is. We have all the resources, we have all the information, and yet we don't use it. We have enough food to feed everyone. We have enough space for everyone to have a place to live, and yet we don't. So that's
we have to buy the artillery and the, you know what I mean?
We have
the
to
war machine.
get
keep that going.
Exactly, the military industrial complex going.
It needs money.
And it's unfortunately that we think that way, that we fight over lines in the sand that we drew up, by the way, and pieces of paper that we gave value to. We need to transcend and move on and evolve from that. That's what humanity is really about. There's this Farsi saying where it says, تعداد آدم تو دنیا زیاده متاسفانه انسانه که کمه. And it means basically that there are people on earth, but unfortunately, there's a lack of humanity.
Absolutely.
And that's where it really comes down to, is the humanity to see things from all sides and realize, honestly, we're all wrong and we need to be right together. Left wing, right wing, same bird. We are in this together. Let's not just be one-sided about single issues and think only in single ways about ourselves.
Also, why was it always so important to you to speak out about what the Islamic Republic does to Iranians? Because you've been one of the most vocal voices for like many years, decades. And was that something that was just innate, or was there a catalyst for that?
It's not that I've had anything personal or a personal thing that's happened to me, other than, of course, the part of diaspora that I'm in, which means that my father was in the United States and got stuck here, basically, and then now continues to live here. And his heart is so Iranian. He named his son Tehran.
Yeah.
This guy, this is the guy. You know,
the capital.
This is the guy.
Country.
Exactly. So it's not that. It's just when I see injustice, in a way, I stand up for it. And especially when it's injustice that not everyone can see.
Yeah, you stand up against it.
Exactly. I stand up against. I'm not pro.
Anywhere I see injustice, I support it.
Anytime I see injustice, I'm like,
do it more.
Good job.
Yeah,
good job. Bring back slavery. No, I'm against anytime there's injustice. Exactly. I oppose it. I attend the protest. I lend whatever amplification of a voice that I can. Sometimes people take it too far and they think that like they attack me as if they don't realize that this is one of the many spokes of the wheel.
Yeah.
They think that, oh, you're only this. It's like, stop doing that.
Yeah.
If I didn't say it,
everyone wants to put you in a box and making things black and white, but it's not that way.
And because of who I've been my whole life, going back to the Black and Iranian thing, it was always hard to put me in a box. People would always be like, is that your black side or Iranian side? It's like, how about it's just my human side?
Yeah.
How about I'm not black or Iranian, I'm just a human being?
Yeah.
How about I'm just being me? I'm not doing something because I'm Iranian or because I'm black. I'm just being myself.
And what do you think is the biggest problem in the Iranian diaspora community right now?
Lack of unity, lack of communication, lack of unification. I have this joke where I specifically, through a joke, I explain how Iranians don't deserve democracy
A lot
because
of people have said that as far as like when we see all the fighting, they're like, this is why we don't have democracy. We
this is
can't even
why.
have it with each other. We can't even tolerate other people's opinions and viewpoints.
And they're not, and it's the hate or the blaming people who you don't need to blame. These are not the people, and you see that across the board. It's not just in the Iranian community, it's in communities
Yeah.
where you blame people who are a product. They're not the symptom, they're not the cause. And that happens a lot, and it's unfortunate.
Well, I think also because everybody has rightfully been so frustrated, like living, I'll just speak for the diaspora, you're so frustrated for seeing what's happened to Iran over the years and the situation continuously deteriorate and deteriorate. And it's always been, you know, a murderous regime. So it's not like that's surprising, but it has gotten worse and worse and worse. And I feel like people are so frustrated with that and they're so angry with that and they don't have anywhere to fully direct it. So they want to blame something or someone. So if you happen to be caught in the crossfires of saying something or a word that triggers somebody that they don't like,
They just want
that's you. Then you're the reason. You're the reason that the revolution happened. You're the reason that the war started. And it's like, yeah, we have to get past blaming everybody for why things started.
and get
you
where
didn't
we
start
are
the
now.
war?
I
Yeah.
definitely didn't start the war.
Did you start the revolution?
I tried, but you know,
You weren't born yet.
exactly.
But
But the thing about it is this. The thing about it is this is I also see in the Iranian community, anyone who does stand up to become a leader, no matter who that person is, they chop down.
of course.
So then how will we ever have a leader?
Yeah.
How will we ever have, if this person's not good enough and this person's not good enough and this person's not good enough and this person's not good enough, only you're good enough, but I don't understand. Like,
I wish people could also understand that and also support the people inside of Iran more and understand that when there's all of this happening out here, it does nothing to help further the cause and it actually takes attention away from them. What's one thing about you that you wish people knew that you think they don't get about you or is misconstrued?
you know, I wish people knew that don't invite me places. You know,
Yeah, you
I'm just
really
not,
don't-
I'm not gonna go. Listen, I know it seems that I'm this go out fun. I'm a happy-go-lucky person. As you know, I'm always annoyed. Like that's my baseline.
You are the
It's-
most
I'm-
annoyed person.
Exactly.
I
I'm
know.
annoid by, and that's the thing. Okay, so there's this
I feel like you
scene.
seek it out sometimes.
Exactly, I
Yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
honestly, that's why I write people back on certain things. I
Like,
will
I wanna
have
be annoyed.
all day conversation. Like
Yeah.
I have nothing but time.
Yeah.
I will
No,
write you back.
you kind of troll people in real life. Like I
do.
know if you know that you're gonna get under someone's skin, you go extra
Oh,
hard. I think the
100%.
key if you're around as people are around you and they don't want to get riled up, they should not give in to your baiting.
Troll, yeah,
Yeah.
don't. I will bait. I am
Yeah.
a baiter for sure.
Yeah.
The idea
master
is-
baiter.
I'm a master baiter. Okay, but that's gonna get clipped one day. I'm gonna do something. They'll be like, "He's a master."
Master baiter.
Like that's
Okay.
content without context is not
Normal.
information.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'll just say it's AI. That's why they
Yeah, yeah.
did that. That's why they're planting those seeds. So
get
one day they'll tell us the truth and be like, "That's not true. It's just AI." When it comes to the idea of me being annoyed, there's this movie Avengers, the first Avengers, where I'm sure most people have seen it. And Bruce Banner's the Hulk. And as the Hulk, when he gets angry, he becomes the green monster, the uncontrollable green monster. And in the first couple movies, he couldn't control it. So in this movie, they keep asking him, what's your secret? What's your secret? And then at one time they need him to become the Hulk. And they're like, it's a good time to become angry now, Bruce. And he's like, that is my secret. I'm always angry. And he immediately becomes the Hulk.
Okay.
That's my secret. I'm always annoyed. Like I've always been annoyed. I was a grumpy child. I was
If you were an
annoyed.
Avenger, you'd be annoyed.
I'd just be
Yeah.
annoyed man.
Yeah.
Like that would be
You just got everyone's like ready to fight. You
Yeah,
just
it's
come in like, what the fuck is
what
going
are
on
we
here?
doing?
Yeah.
Why is this even happening?
I think it's
What?
necessary.
Yeah, it's just like always annoyed. So people, they're like, "Oh, are you okay?" I'm like, "No, this is when I'm happiest.
So
is
the
when I'm annoyed."
Moral of the story is though, don't invite you to places.
Inviting me to places, I appreciate all the invites. In fact, I love being invited, but also expect me to turn it down.
Yeah.
I like having options.
Yeah.
I like choosing. That
Speaking
is
of
the
which, I'm
thing.
having this party next week.
Yeah,
So I was wondering.
exactly. I love being invited, but I won't go.
That's fine. It was lovely to have you here. Obviously, you're going to
Did
have
we
to come
actually even
back.
talk about
I know.
anything?
I was like, I don't
Did
know
we
if we got
actually
to
discuss
anything I had on the
anything?
outline, but no, this is great. Of course we did. We'll do this again. It's just easy because I actually know you. But I want to close out the segment by doing something. I end all the segments with doing
I'm
something kind
worried.
of fun
I'm
and different.
worried.
Do you have your phone on you?
Okay.
Okay,
No, this is bad. Whatever this is about to be very bad.
So Tehran is
Yeah.
friends with a lot of comedians, of course,
Okay.
a lot of very famous comedians. But I was gonna either give you the option or I'll choose one. We're gonna call them from your phone. I'm
Okay.
gonna disguise my voice.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell them that you've just been arrested and you're at the West Hollywood Police Department. I want to see who's gonna come down and actually help mail you out.
Okay, hold
Who
on.
do you think is most likely?
Hold on. You choose which okay.
Give me 3 options.
You have Maz Jobrani,
Okay.
Max Amini,
Uh-huh.
Amir K. Which one do you want to call?
Let's do some. Okay, since Amir's already been a guest,
Okay.
I think he'll recognize my voice.
Okay.
Easier.
Okay.
Let's do Maz.
Okay. We're calling Maz.
Okay.
Hold on.
On speaker. Hi, is this Maz? So is this Maz Jobrani?
Yes.
Hi, listen, sorry, I know this is a little weird. You're friends with Tehran, right? Tehran,
Yeah.
I was just hanging out with him in West Hollywood, and unfortunately, I don't know what's going on, but the police have arrested him. He told me to call you and see if you'd be able to meet him at the West Hollywood PD to, I guess, what's it called? Bail him out?
Come on.
I know, I'm so, would you be able to come? I'm so sorry, I'm visiting, I don't really know what to do, I'm a little freaked out.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes, of course.
What's your name?
Jenny.
Jenny?
Yeah.
What's your last name, Jenny?
Friedman?
Friedman, I'm sorry. So are you visiting him from out of town?
Yes, I actually came in from London, and I don't know, he just said call Maz, and so I looked up the number. I really, are you going to be able to come? Please tell me yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, where is he?
So it's the West Hollywood PD. I think it's, God, I got to get the number. It's on San Vicente. Hold on one second, I'll get you the building number. Yeah, it's 718 North San Vicente.
I told you Maz would come. Maz, you're on a podcast with me and Nas. Listen, that's the thing.
Jenny, I'm gonna.
Do you see this? That's
Maz
why I
is-
said Maz is honestly, people don't realize Maz Jobrani is one of the best human beings on the planet.
Mazjan,
Who would not come? Who would be like, you know what? Fuck that kid.
well, I know a few people. Mazjan, it's Nazanin Nour. Thank you so much for for answering.
So good. Oh my God. Listen. At first, I was like, get the fuck out of it. But then you kind of had this slight accent. You picked a very good voice to do.
Thank you.
And then you started sounding nervous, and I felt bad.
You're like, oh, I should have believed her.
Oscar award for you, buddy.
Thank you so much, Oscar committee. You are listening, Maz Jobrani. I get one. Maz, thank you so much. I appreciate it. دور از جون. میبوسم میتونه از دور. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maz. I knew for a fact 100% people don't realize how good a person Maz is. Just as a human being,
Yes.
people don't realize he's the best person on the planet. And I say this so often. Thank you, Maz. Love you. I'll see you in Denver.
Oh, you guys were just fucking with me? That was it?
Yeah, it was it. That was it.
It's the last bit of the show.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Well, now you know how loved you are.
And I could have done, listen, and I honestly, with Maz, Max, Amir, they've always been such good brothers.
Yeah.
Max Amini's the first person ever put me on stage.
Aw.
Second person was Maz Jobrani. Maz Jobrani's the reason why I do comedy specifically.
Okay.
He not only mentored me and has been a big brother the whole time, but he's the one that inspired me to come to LA and do comedy. Amir K has been a friend since day one.
Yeah.
And has pushed me to be funnier and better. And watching him, he's the funniest person.
I absolutely adore him. I adore all
Absolutely
those guys.
brilliant.
They are wonderful gentlemen, and they would definitely be there for you in a pinch. And for the record, if I got that phone call, I would come to
I
the
know
West
you
Hollywood
would.
Police
I know you
Department.
would. And Max Amini has always been there.
Yeah.
Also very active in all the movements. Maz,
For sure.
everyone has just been so wonderful that I don't think they get enough their flowers, especially in the American community.
Yeah.
Because everyone keeps thinking that what we do is comedy like for Iranians, and
It's
it's
not.
not.
No.
Which is why my shows are very mixed. My audiences are very mixed.
Yeah.
But if you notice, Max Amini's audiences are now including other people because people all have a very similar experience. And so is Maz, and Amir K is on tour with Theo Vaughn.
Yep.
and just doing these big things. So
you guys are comedians for the people.
exactly.
I want to thank you for coming. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming to my Mehuni with Ted on. We'll see you next time. Yeah, buddy. That was great.
Poor Maz.
I love him. I could tell he was
Poor
starting
Maz.
to be
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah. At first, it's like.